Hi everyone, welcome to the stream. This is Accounting Nightmare. Welcome Tag, welcome Russ, welcome Alyosha. Welcome to the stream. More Ace Attorney today. Alright, yesterday we started up case 3-5, the final case in this original trilogy. It's not the final case of the series, because there's more games after this one. But this is a pretty big, interesting case. If you want to watch the part, if you're planning to watch the part before this one, and you don't really want spoilers, you should stop watching like right now. There's gonna be major spoilers, like immediately. And I'm gonna try and like run over what's happened so far. Feeling pretty good, thanks, Alyosha. My throat isn't too bad, but I'm wondering if maybe I should do a shorter stream just to make sure I don't hurt my throat very much. Yeah, it feels alright at the moment, but it was pretty sore last night. Alright, let's run through what's happened. February 9, 9:47 AM, District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 1. Alright, let's check the court record. Alright, so this case is all about the Hazakura Temple, which is up in the mountains. And the trio went there, Phoenix, Maya, and Pearls, because they offered a special spiritual training course for Maya. So Maya signed up. And she was supposed to do some pretty intense training. It seems to take place at the place that case 3-4 was. That whole bridge thing, and yeah, so there's kind of like two parts of this temple. There's the main part, and then there's a little inner temple that's across that bridge. That's where Maya was supposed to do her training. But I think she's still stuck there because the bridge is now out. We don't know how she's going. Hopefully she's alright. Yeah, that's a good point, Alyosha. Yeah. But yeah, it's very cold there. Phoenix didn't want to go, but he was kind of convinced because he looked at the brochure for this place. Have we got this brochure? Here it is. And there was a woman there who looked a lot like Dahlia. So Phoenix came along to see what's going on with that. And so we've met her. Her name is Iris. We still don't know what her connection with Dahlia is. And she's a defendant. She's been accused of killing this woman, who was found stabbed through with a sword. God, there's so much that's going on in this case. Jeez. Pearls is missing. She went missing the night of the crime. I have no idea where she is. I hope she's alright. And Larry's hanging around. He was this woman's disciple. This woman's actually a picture book author for children's picture books. Pearl was quite a big fan of hers. And she had taken Larry under her wing as a disciple. Larry is Larry. Let's leave it at that. Right, there was lightning that night, and the bridge caught fire, and Phoenix decided to run across the bridge to try and save Maya. And then he fell into the very cold river, and is now hospitalised with hypothermia. And so we're actually playing as Edgeworth. He gave his badge to Edgeworth, and also he gave his badge to Edgeworth and the Magatama, which is kind of funny because Edgeworth has no idea what's going on with this thing. He doesn't believe in this thing, but he still deals with it. Yeah, Edgeworth was overseas actually, and when he got a call that Phoenix was... Larry told him that Phoenix might be about to die, and so he chartered a private jet to come over as soon as he could, which was pretty funny. So he's now taking Phoenix's place and defending Iris, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so I guess we'll just continue on with this trial. We'll see how we go. Your throat's a bit dry from rambling for 3 hours straight too. Your stream was really good, Tag. I'm really enjoying your FF9 streams. Yeah, that game's really good. I want to play that myself now. Alright. Oh yeah, so Goddo was supposed to be the prosecutor on this case. But he just wouldn't answer his phone calls. So people are theorising he's not interested since Phoenix is hospitalised and isn't going to be the defence attorney. So Edgeworth said something about pulling strings and setting up his own prosecutor. So we don't know who that's going to be yet. Alright, let's just start going. Oh my, Mr. Loris feels that way about me? Also, Loris is Larry's name. He's given himself a new name, claiming he's been reborn as a new man. He still seems like the same old Larry, though. Apparently, he isn't aware of your real secret at all. This is no time to be embarrassed. I'm sorry. I'm just hardly accustomed to that sort of thing. Worry not. And in any case, whatever it was that he saw on the night of the incident, mark my words, I will drag it out of him. Does that mean Mr. Loris is the witness today? No. I believe that none will be the first to take the stand. Sister Bikini. She claims to have seen the very instant in which you carried out the crime. I just want to ask you one last time. It really wasn't you who killed Miss Elise Downham, correct? That is correct. It wasn't me. Very well then. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes? You are a prosecutor, are you not? Are you sure about this? If your true identity is revealed... Don't worry. I've made the necessary arrangements. I see. Iris. It is a prosecutor's job to doubt people. But right now, I am a defense attorney. A defense attorney's job is to believe in people, and to believe until the bitter end. That's what my friend told me once. Mr. Edgeworth, I simply ask that you watch and decide for yourself whether or not I am fit to do the task I have been entrusted. Very well, sir. I leave my defense in your capable hands. "10 AM. Courtroom number 7. So this case is super cool because Edgeworth gets to carry out his childhood dream of being a defense attorney for a little bit of time, but he gets to see what it's like. And he gets to see what it's like for Phoenix when he's stuck on the defense side. Yeah, that's right. He arranged a different judge because he knew that the normal judge would recognise him. So we've got this judge, which is from the previous case. This guy's apparently only seen Edgeworth once, so he probably shouldn't recognise him, hopefully. Because Edgeworth isn't supposed to be a defence attorney. Court is now in session for the trial of Sister Iris of Hasakura Temple. The defence is ready, Your Honour. Oh, he's got the little badge on his lapel. Ah, that's cool. The defence does indeed appear to be ready. However, the same cannot be said for the prosecution in this case. Indeed. I'm not sure I like such a blatant waste of this court's time. An empty prosecutor's chair can only mean that the prosecutor has no confidence in their ability to prove their case. It would seem this case is already over before it had a chance to begin. I am ready to announce my verdict at this time. This court finds a defendant. Jeez, this guy just wants to get out of here and go have an early lunch or something. The prosecution stands ready. And you are? Franziska von Karma, prosecuting prodigy. Von Karma, you say? Ah, thanks for the bits, Alyosha. Nice. The girl of all time is back. Nice. Yeah, that's another really cool thing about this case. Edgeworth got to set it up that he got to go against her in court, because they've got a bit of a sibling rivalry going on, and so this will be a fun little experience for them. Also, he can trust her not to give out his identity. Perchance, you wouldn't be of any relation to the legendary prosecutor Manfred von Karma? Legends are a thing of the past. I am a von Karma. That is all. Upon a special request, I flew in today for the purposes of prosecuting this case. You did? Then you must be quite a big shot, eh? By the way, Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honour. I'm almost certain that I've seen you somewhere before. Or am I just imagining things? You look very much like a prosecutor I met once. I believe you are imagining things, Your Honor. Miss Von Karma, do you have anything to say? There is no such weakling as this man among those of the prosecutor's office. There isn't. But I'm sure, once before... Ah! I told you, there is no such weakling. What is that, a whip? I'm not sure I care for such a thing in my courtroom. Bailiff, remove that whip at... he just... Why would he let her keep the whip? Also, I like that this judge actually wanted to remove it from her. I have no objection to the whip. You don't? The prosecution can wield a whip or drink 17 cups of coffee, but there is still only one truth. That is what I stand here to prove today. This promises to be interesting, Miles Edgeworth. I had expected to face Phoenix right here today. But looking at you now, maybe this is what I've been waiting for all this time. Miles Edgeworth, I will not allow this chance to crush you slip through my fingers. I see you brought your flair for the histrionic. Allow me to add to the things I'm not sure about. People acting bizarrely in my court. Well, get ready for a lot of that, Judge. The stage is set. Now continue with the proceedings, Your Honor. Very well. Miss Von Karma, please give me an outline of this case. With as little whipping as possible. The murder victim is the famed picture book author, Miss Elise Downham. Her body was found in the Hazakura Temple courtyard. She had been stabbed through the torso by a ceremonial sword from a golden statue. The sword in this picture is the weapon in question, correct? Very well. The court accepts this photo of the crime scene. Crime photo, the courtyard where Elise Downham was murdered. There is no mistake. This was the doing of Sister Iris. After all, there is a witness to her crime. Very well. Please bring this witness to the stand. And so it begins. My first and last trial as a defense attorney. Oh! That's great. Witness, state your name and occupation, please. But hold on here. I'm not sure about being not sure if I care for this at all. Witness, please stand up nice and straight. Oh. I like her, she's great. If I recall correctly, there are a few milk crates in the defendant's lobby for our back pain plagued witnesses. A witness. Bailiff, fetch a crate for this poor lady, please. Once again, your name and occupation, please. Little old me? Well, I'm the head nun of Hazakura Temple on Eagle Mountain. My name is Bikini. You got it? Bikini! Nice to meet everyone. But you don't appear to be wearing a bikini right now. Oh! The courtroom is the garden of holy judgment. Those with lechery in their hearts should leave this sanctuary at once. Did you want me to leave? No need to get your bikinis in a twist. Let me tell you, I'm a sight to behold in summer. In any case, witness, I hear that you saw the crime take place on the night in question. That's right. I can still hardly believe it myself, to be honest. There's no way dear little Iris could do anything like that. Let us hear what you have to say, then. First, tell us about your own movements that night, eh? The night of the murder. That night I was helping an acolyte with her training in the inner temple, but, well, as you can see, my back likes to act up, violently. So, I left Iris to help the acolyte, and returned to Hazakura Temple. There's no bath at the inner temple, you see, and I needed a long, hot soak. It was after I had finished, just as I was heading back. That's when I saw it. So it was simply coincidence that you found yourself returning to Hazakura Temple? Yes, you could say that. If my back hadn't been in so much pain, I would have stayed at the inner temple. That sounds like a pretty important statement she just made. There is only one problem with this testimony that I can see. And you're not about to fall at the first hurdle, now are you, Miles Edgeworth? Mr. Edgeworth, please begin your cross-examination. Franny, no lechery. Bikini, wanna see me in the summer? Edgy. Moving on, yeah. That night I was helping an acolyte with her training in the inner temple, but... Hold it! What is this inner temple? Well, see, conversing with the spirits is what we train people to do, right? We'll be the ones asking you the questions, madam. In order to do that, a place strong in spiritual power is required. There's a small temple across Dusky Bridge called the Inner Temple. Acolytes must spend an entire night there to undergo intense training. And how exactly do you help with this process? It is all quite exacting. It can't be performed without a nun supervising. Like a tutor, watching to make sure a spoiled child studies. A tutor with a whip, in your case. If that is the case, then why did you return to Hazakura Temple, where the murder took place? Well, as you can see, my back likes to act up. Violently. Violently? That's right. It's no laughing matter, especially in winter. I can't hold anything heavier than a knife and fork during the cold months. Just being alive is like strict training. On the night of the murder, was this fabulous back of yours hurting again? That's right. Raging like a bull in a pig pen. I almost fainted once or twice. I just knew that unless I warmed it up, it was going to finally finish me off. So I left Iris to help the acolyte and returned to Hazakura Temple. I can sympathise with back troubles. You left Iris to help? With what? What do you think? The acolyte's training, of course. It was just past 10 PM, so we were starting to enter into the training exercises proper. Wasn't it your place to remain with the disciple? Well, the job is simply to watch over the acolytes so that they don't pass away. You too? Aw, sorry to hear that. Aw, sorry to hear that, Alyosha and Tag. Just to confirm this point again, that night, you met Iris in the inner temple, correct? Yes, yes, she's a gentle, honest girl. She's never once failed to follow my directions. There's no bath at the inner temple, you see, and I needed a long, hot soak. So, you returned to the Hazakura Temple in order to take a bath? My back is to blame for everything. It's a do-or-be-done-in kind of world, after all. How long were you in the bath for, if you don't mind me asking? My! What a filthy little rogue you are! I know what's on your mind. I bet your next question is going to be, where exactly did you wash? Ah, this is why you have to watch the young ones. What are you going on about? I was... Ah! Pathetic, Miles Edgeworth. Aw. Poor Edgy. The lowest of the low. Is there some sort of kick-me sign stuck to the defence's bench? Now Edgy knows what it's like. Anyway, I couldn't afford to be away from my post for too long, you understand? So... It was after I had finished, just as I was heading back. That's when I saw it. Now, before I press this, I just want to see what this dialogue is. There is indeed only one problem with this testimony. If I can clearly point out what it is, then I can begin to quantify just how good this witness's memory and observation skills are. The crime took place in the courtyard, correct? When you go from my room to the main hall, you have to take a winding hallway from which you can see the courtyard. That's right. In other words, it was pure coincidence that the witness saw the crime taking place before her eyes. There was no complicated setup in this case. That certainly seems to be true. There is indeed only one problem. Okay. Yeah, so Iris claims she never went to the inner temple. But... oh, do we have her testimony? I think she gave us testimony, didn't she? Yeah. Alright, so that's what we're gonna point out. You have 7 siblings, you know the pain. Oof. Franny's probably wanted to whip him for years. Yep. Yeah, she's always been in competition with him. I think she's always felt kind of overshadowed because... well, she was like a prodigy prosecutor at... when did she become a bloody prosecutor? Like 14 or something ridiculous? But, yeah, she's always felt like she hasn't measured up to him. Hey, Rambo, how are ya? Here. Objection! Witnesses have to undergo their own trials, I'm afraid. The defendant's fate rests on their powers of observation and memory, after all. Well, 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 don't worry. I'm more than up to the task. I'm a woman of faith, after all. The head honcho of Hazakura Temple. In that case, Miss Honcho, I'd like you to explain something for me. The discrepancy between your testimony and that of the defendant, Iris. She claims that after ringing the lights out bell, she went back and stayed in her room. Which means she did not go to the inner temple at all. I mean, she's the defendant, so they're just going to claim that she was lying. No! She said that? A defendant or a witness? Who is more likely to lie, do you suppose? The defendant is simply lying to cover her back. But that is completely illogical. The murder was committed in the courtyard of Hazakura Temple. Claiming that she went to the inner temple would make for a much better alibi. That's true. But that is odd. Whatever the reason, I can't believe that she would lie. She does indeed have honest eyes. All people lie. That is my belief. Why am I the only one being whipped in here? Anyway, neither the witness nor the defendant have any reason to lie. Which means we must call your memory into question. Dear, dear, dear. You're older than me and yet you want to play that game, do you? Ooh. Well, that isn't exactly what I... My memory is perfect, crystal clear, especially in winter. Then, I suppose it's too early to end this cross-examination, eh? Mr. Edgeworth, if you are going to question the memory of this witness, you will need to show me a more decisive piece of evidence. Understood, Your Honour. I was naive to think that alone would do the trick. Then please add your comments about Iris to the testimony, and let us return to the cross-examination. I hope they gave that. I hope they gave that judge a Canadian accent in the dub. If they used him at all, they might have just skipped over that and used the normal judge. Yeah, Edgeworth is doing well so far, isn't he? Iris came to the inner temple. She was dressed exactly as she'd been at dinner. No bath, okay. Exactly as she was at dinner. Hmm. Hold it! Are you sure that you're not making a mistake? You, young man, need to get your estimation of me up from the floor. Nah. Iris always wears the same clothes. The smallest thing out of place would have stood out like a sore thumb to me. You're making a mistake. Thinking I made a mistake? An excellent finish there, witness. Still, I have to wonder. But she gave her headwear to Phoenix. Witness, let's get one thing straight. The defendant whom you claim to have met, she was wearing this demon-warding hood, correct? Of course. That is a very important piece of clothing, I'll have you know. Wait a minute. Hold it right there. Why do you have that? That's the question of the day now, isn't it, Miss Von Karma? I'll have you know that this hood was given to someone as a gift that night, before the lights out bell was rung. What? You know where I'm going with this, don't you? If the witness had seen the defendant as she claims, then the Iris she saw should have been missing this very hood. Well. Oh, she's... the crate she's standing on is pretty big, actually. It's not a bad feeling at all, exposing contradictions like this. Now I understand that happy look on Wright's face every time he does it. Order! Order in the court! Witness, you're... Whoa! Sister, this hood. You have spare ones around the temple, don't you? Spares? Well, I do tend to make too many of them. I see. A stockpile. A surplus of hoods, eh? Each nun is only given one hood. This should be the only hood that Iris owned. Then this is quite strange. What? If there was a surplus of hoods, then she could have worn one of those. There is no contradiction here. I'm sorry to break this to you, Miss Von Karma, but you won't get away that easily. Discrepancies such as this will sow seeds in any human heart. The seeds of doubt. Witness, while I don't wish to call your testimony into doubt, you must give every detail with precision. I'm not sure I'm comfortable going along with this. Sister, you shall continue with your testimony. Tell us what you saw after finishing your bath, on your way back to the inner temple. Why do I have it? Because I look fabulous in it, that's why. Yup. Those seeds of doubt are sprouting in the judge's heart. They just need a little more stimulation to bear fruit. Contradictory stimulation. After my bath. I finished my bath around 11, and I thought I should return to the inner temple. Where's the autopsy? Yeah, that fits. And as I was walking back, I heard a noise from the courtyard. I took a look, and Iris was... Oh, Mr. Galeese. And with that sword of all things. Mr. Galeese was staying in the corner room, which faces out onto the courtyard. The stabbing I saw must have occurred after she was pushed out of her window. You saw a truly terrible sight, didn't you? If I was in your place, then it would be much like Miss Von Karma whipping Mr. Edgeworth in two in court. And me seeing it all from this very chair. Well, something like that. This judge... His imagination is about as vivid and creative as Detective Gumshoe. I would look the fool if I commented on such foolishness. Anyway, this case is mine, Miles Edgeworth. Calling everyone by their full name. Can't you do something about that habit of yours? They're getting snippy. I finished my bath around 11, and I thought I should return to the inner temple. How far is it from your room to the inner temple? Let me think a moment. About 20 minutes on these stumps of mine. It's about 15 minutes to Dusky Bridge from Hazakura Temple. The inner temple is just beyond the bridge. Still, you never made it back there that night, did you? That's right. I was heading along the walkway toward the main hall. And now, as I was walking back, I heard a noise from the courtyard. I took a look, and... You say you heard a noise? Thump! Just like that. That could only be the sound of the victim falling. It's very quiet in the temple, you know. You can even hear the snow falling from the branches. Thump! Just like that. But then, couldn't this noise you heard have been snow falling to the ground? I never thought of that. The next one to laugh gets a whipping. Well, whatever the source of the sound, I looked over at the courtyard and... Iris was, Mystic Elise, and with that sword of all things. This is the second time that the witness has testified to seeing the defendant, but some doubt remains in these claims. Hey, just what does that mean? Just because you're a good-looking young man doesn't give you the right to... The murderer who stabbed the victim with the sword. Sister Bikini, try to recall exactly who it was you saw, as clearly as you can. Well, you're a handsome young man, so I'll forgive you. Oh, now that you mention it, there was something awfully strange about her. Something that has been bugging me all this time. Please, don't keep us in suspense. Her hood? Her hood? That's right. It's coming back to me. Iris, she wasn't wearing her hood. I thought something was out of place, but it all makes sense now, doesn't it? After all, she'd given that hood away to someone, right? Ha. You've dug your own grave, Miles Edgeworth. What do you say, Mr. Edgeworth? Is this testimony important? Probably. Probably. This may initially appear to put me at a disadvantage, but I can't see any other leads at the moment. Your Honor, I would like these new statements to be added to the testimony. Heh, Miles Edgeworth. If you want to hang yourself, you need only to ask. I'll gladly lend you my whip. Witness, add that statement to your testimony. No problem. Now that you mention it, Iris didn't have her hood on. You are sure about that? Yes, after all, we always wear the same clothes. I don't mean because we're poor, you understand. It's our style. Yes, that's it. There's absolutely no need to explain yourself. Anyway, she looked different from normal, so that really stuck out. Like me holding a whippet puppy instead of my whip. At least then it might bite you and not someone else. Iris didn't have her hood on, I'm sure of it. Very well. Now, please tell us about the victim, eh? Mr. Elise was staying in the corner room, which faces out onto the courtyard. The room the victim was staying in overlooked the courtyard, correct? Which means the victim's room was on the second floor? No. Hazakura Temple is a single-story building, but the mountain itself slopes downward. which elevates the main gate side of the temple and the guest rooms in the back to about the height of a 2-story building. I see. And the victim was staying in one of these elevated rooms, correct? Hey, Counting Kittens, welcome! Yeah, that's a really good point, Tag. The contrast in Edgy and Nick's growth is really quite brilliant. They tend to come to the same conclusions, but they tend to reach them by very different ways. Nick doesn't usually think things through, but just kind of makes a bunch of leaps of faith, and figures things out as he goes along. Edgy thinks things through a lot, and tends to pick up on emotions more, and tackles problems from a very different viewpoint. Yeah, that's really cool. That's a really good observation, Tag. I see. And the victim was staying in one of these elevated rooms, correct? Yes, I should know. I'm the one who carried her things to a room, after all. The stabbing I saw must have occurred after she was pushed out of her window. What makes you so sure of all this? It's just like I told you earlier. I heard a noise from the courtyard, okay? Thump, just like that. You're one smart sister, I'll give you that. The autopsy report states that the victim's body was covered in bruises, indicating a fall from around 10 feet in height. It appears that the witness was not mistaken then. Yep, I'm more than just a pretty face, especially in winter. I'm a woman of faith, after all, the head honcho of Hazakura Temple. There's only 2 of them working there. What's wrong, Miles Edgeworth? No snappy comeback remark? It doesn't feel like she is lying. This is very powerful testimony, too. She claims to have seen the instant in which the defendant stabbed the victim. There are only 2 things I can believe in right now. My client, Iris, and my own abilities as a defense attorney. Alright. Yeah, so what she saw has never really made sense with the autopsy report. Because this claims that she fell after death. So, according to this, she should have been stabbed before falling? Yeah, so that's part's never made sense. So let's see if we can figure it out. Impressive logic. That's what I'd like to say, anyway. Oh, please do. My brain is something else, especially in winter. However, I think you are overlooking one thing. Miss Von Karma, would you be so kind as to take another look at the autopsy report? The autopsy report? The victim did fall from a height of 10 feet. However, this fall was after she was killed. Ah! That's right! It says after death right here. The scene the witness claims to have seen is contradictory. If the defendant stabbed and killed the victim there in the courtyard, how did the victim then go on to take a 10-foot fall? Ah! Order! The victim was killed and then fell. If that is the case, then the victim must have been killed in her room. Don't you agree? That is the logical conclusion? Yes, that's right. The victim must have been stabbed by the defendant in her own room. And she was then thrown out of her window down into the courtyard below. Were there any signs of a struggle in Miss Downham's room? She was stabbed with a sword. That would leave a bloodstain, wouldn't you agree? Well, Miss Von Karma, was there any blood? No traces of blood were found in the victim's room. Your witness just caused traces of blood to be found on my glorious playoff beard. Hey, Pennyking, how are ya? No worries, hope your life is going alright now for you. Good night, Rose. Thanks for hanging out. However, if there was no blood in the room, then you'll clean it. Whoa! I'm sure there's no need for me to go over this. As I'm sure your honour is well aware of when a stab wound produces the most blood. When it produces the most blood? Very little blood is actually lost at the moment of a blade's insertion. If you want to talk about when the most blood would be lost from a body, that would be when the blood is removed. Indeed, with the weapon still in place, it acts like a lid on the wound. That's true. With the weapon still in the body, there wouldn't be much bleeding. A perfectly reasonable line of thinking. We have come to a conclusion then. The victim was thrown out of the window with the sword still in place. This removes all of the contradictions. Order, order, order. I must admit that this is a probable version of events. I'd expect no less from Franziska von Karma. She locates and takes control of every vital point. It seems that we need a clearer testimony from the witness. Remove all supposition on your part and tell us only the facts, please. Witness, please, remain standing on the crate. Don't go selling me short now. The weight of winter snow has bent me out of shape, especially my back and my mood. Sister, please, give us your testimony. I will give you a vigorous massage once we are done here. Once we are finished here. With the whip? She's probably going to tell Gumshoe to do it. Oh boy. Alright, alright. Further details. Oh. When I looked across at the scene, the sword was already in place. Thinking about it now, I didn't actually see her stab Mystic Elise. I've never seen so much blood before. That's when I fainted. You can't blame me, can you? And when I awoke, Mystic Amy was stabbing Mystic Elise through the back. This all confirms Miss Von Karma's theory. Von Karmas strive for nothing but perfection. Putting together such facts is nothing for me. You should know that, Miles Edgeworth. Perfection is an impossibility, Franziska Von Karma. And I'm here to teach you just that. When I looked across at the scene, the sword was already in place. At that time, was the victim bleeding? Well, I was very shocked to be seeing all this, of course. So I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think I saw any blood, not then. I'm sure that you didn't. The weapon was acting as a plug in the wound. In any case, let's be clear on one very important point. Did you actually see the instant in which the victim was stabbed? Thinking about it now, I didn't actually see her stab Mystic Elise. Think carefully. This is very important. It's Iris we are talking about here. I'm thinking for all I'm worth. No. When I looked over, the sword was already in Mystic Elise's body. It might not be conclusive, but this testimony supports her theory. The victim was stabbed in her room and then dropped into the courtyard. I think this proves it rather well, Miles Edgeworth. I've never seen so much blood before. Oh, sorry. So you're saying that you saw the victim's blood? That's right. Some of it had splattered onto Iris too. When the defendant was arrested, she was meditating in her room, and her blood-flecked clothing was neatly folded in the corner. Oh dear, okay. Didn't know that. You found some really silly fan art? Ooh, alright. Feel free to share. What? Her clothes were blood-flecked as well? That seems quite conclusive to me. What should I do? Press this point further? Yes. Going back to your previous statement, you said that you saw little bleeding when the victim was stabbed. But now, you say you saw the victim bleeding? Well, well, I say that what I saw is what I saw. What did you see? Maybe I didn't see the poor woman get stabbed, but I saw the girl pull the sword out of her, plain as day. Pulling the sword out? Well, it wasn't exactly pulling, it was more like it came out. Witness, you will add this statement to your testimony. Oh, was that important? More important than you can imagine. Was she stabbed twice? Kind of nice to have a witness who seems to be doing their best to recount the facts. Yup, definitely. Alright, let's keep pressing. Bam, bam, bam. I saw the instant in which the blade, plunged into the hilt, was smoothly drawn out. Smoothly, you say? You're saying you saw the sword smoothly slide out? That's right. The whole thing happened right next to the gold statue of Mr. Kami. That sword is not a sword you can just smoothly pull out. That's a messed up sword. Mr. Khalees was on the ground and Iris was stooped over her. The sword was buried up to the hilt. Yeah, but how did she... Ooh, alright, I'm gonna check out this thing tonight. That's pretty good. JoJo fan art. I'll just show that on stream. It's not really related to this case, but it's good fan art. And boom. Very good. Does it have the artist's name here? Proof of fame? Not sure what the artist's name is. Oh yeah, that's really good. JoJo style Phoenix Wright. That's funny. Anyway. The sword was buried up to the hilt. When Iris stood up, the sword in her hand just slid out of Mr. Khalees' body. It slid out from that gaping wound. Ah. It goes without saying that if the sword was removed, there would be bleeding. Nothing out of place here. Is that really the case? I can't help but feel that something about this testimony is very out of place. That something which couldn't possibly have happened appears to have happened. Okay, I'll press the other ones just to get more dialogue and then I'll go back and object. I've never seen so much blood before. Was the bleeding caused by the killer removing the sword? No mistaking it. I remember it clear as day. Don't you think that's a bit odd? What do you mean, Miles Edgeworth? Why would the killer pull out the sword? What? If all she wanted to do was place the weapon in the hand of the gold statue, then there was no reason to remove it from the body. All that would have accomplished is causing the victim to bleed unnecessarily. Your thoughts, Miss Von Karma? That's... Indeed, it is strange now that you mention it. I'm going to need to find an answer to this mystery too. Anyway, the witness saw something terrible. So, what did you do after that, witness? That's when I fainted. You can't blame me, can you? Now, on to what the killer did next. You saw none of it, correct? Well, I was unconscious. How long were you out for? I don't know, 10, maybe 20 minutes? A young man with a very prickly looking head woke me up. By stepping on me, actually. I'm not sure I like that method of resuscitation. Well, I wasn't asking for mouth-to-mouth or anything of the sort. But I would have welcomed a more gentle awakening right about then, let me tell you. I shall have words with the offender personally. What did you see upon awakening? And when I awoke, Mystic Amy was stabbing Mr. Galeese through the back. I think Edgeworth just wants any reason to chew out Phoenix. He just wants to give him a hard time. He enjoys it. By Mystic Amy, you are referring to the golden statue, correct? Just stabbing someone with the Shichishito, a sacred treasure, is terrible enough. But to then make Mystic Amy hold the blade... Truly, a heinous, despicable crime. It is easy to despise something. Anyone can do it. However, there is something that cannot be done so easily. Whatever it is, I'm sure it's doubly hard for you. Anyway, what is the problem? Exactly why would the killer set up this gruesome scene? Can anyone explain the reasoning behind that? No, I don't think I can. Your cat steps on you asking for hugs. Aww. She's quite heavy and her paws are tiny. Oh, okay. There isn't always a logical reason behind why someone acts. That's true, so true. In early spring, for example, I often find myself... There isn't always. That phrase might come in handy someday. There are too many unnatural elements in this case. Why was it necessary to use the Shichishito from the Amy statue as a weapon? Why was the weapon ultimately placed back in the hand of the statue? If I could expose the flaws in this testimony, perhaps then I will begin to find the truth. Alright. The blade was smoothly drawn out, apparently. Hey, King Brolly. You don't know how to feel about setting up a crime scene. Very good. I'm glad this judge is back. Sister Bikini, you are a reliable witness. At least, I'd like to think so. But there are too many contradictions here. But what do you mean? You make it sound as though I'm a liar. But you're a handsome young man, so I'll forgive you. What does him being handsome have to do with that? What contradictions are you talking about? In the scene that the witness claims to have seen, the weapon was thrust up to its hilt into the victim. Furthermore, the killer withdrew the weapon smoothly from the body. However, both of these are complete impossibilities. What do you mean? Please explain. Whoa! Explain yourself. Has she actually whipped Edgeworth yet, or only the judge? I'm curious. To start with, do you think it would be possible to stab someone to the hilt with this? No matter how I look at the defendant, she doesn't appear strong enough for that. Doesn't appear? What meaningless dribble. I too may appear to be weak and frail, but I can crush men under my heel and make them weep, should I so choose. The objection stands. I wept a little back there, I must admit. That isn't the only issue here. If this sword was truly stabbed into the body up to the hilt, well, just look at all the branches on it. It certainly wouldn't come out smoothly. That's... Have I seen the dialogue for presenting the wrong evidence in cross-examination as edgy? No, actually. Thanks, panicking. I almost forgot to do that. I'll have to do that. She whipped Edgy once near the first. Ah, okay. Yeah, maybe just once. We also have the problem of the amount of bleeding. It's true that when a blade is left in a body, it acts as a plug of sorts. However, when the weapon is shaped like this, it's an entirely different story. The wound would be too large for the blade to completely stop the bleeding. That's nothing more than conjecture. In reality, the victim was stabbed with a shichishito. Even a weapon of this nature may still sometimes slide out smoothly, and may still sometimes stop the blood loss. I'm not finished. There is still one more conclusive contradiction. You've still got more? This one is simple. If this sword really was thrust in all the way to the hilt, why is there only blood on the tip of it? If this witness is telling the truth, then there should be blood along the entire length of the sword. No! But what? Bravo, Miles Edgeworth. Hey Sneejin, how are you? Yeah, we've talked about how she must have been stabbed before falling. So the current theory is that she was impaled with the sword and then knocked out the window and then they removed the sword. So that's the current theory. Raising this many contradictions from a single piece of evidence, all the other attorneys I know could maybe manage one, if that. But what does this all mean? You have proven contradictions regarding the murder weapon, but having come this far, there can only be one answer. And that is, the weapon used to kill the victim was not the shichishito. What? A foolishly foolish idea, born from the foolish mind of a foolhardy, foolish fool. Let's examine this again. What was it that made us think this sword was the murder weapon? Well, it's because Mystic Amy was holding it. Exactly. However, if you reflect on this, that is the only basis we have to assume such a thing. The impression left by the scene was just too strong. That is what influenced us. It influenced us to believe that the shichishito was the murder weapon. Order! 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 What? So maybe the shichishito was not the murder weapon. Even if that is the case, it changes nothing, Miles Edgeworth. The sister here saw everything. She saw the defendant stab the victim with a sword-like object. That's true. Your response, Mr. Edgeworth? If that is so, I would like the prosecution to answer the obvious question it raises. The obvious question? Yes, namely, where did the real murder weapon disappear to? It goes without saying that the police searched the main hall and the surrounding area. Perhaps the prosecution can enlighten us as to if a sword-like object was found. That's... Answer the question, Miss Von Karma. No evidence of that kind was found. Another mystery to throw onto the pile. A trial without a murder weapon is a tricky beast. Excuse me, can I say something? I just remembered something, actually. What is it, sister? I was just thinking, it's possible that just maybe what actually happened was, it was just over there. What exactly are you going on about here? The murder weapon, I mean. Maybe. I think I might know where the sword was disposed of. You what? Well then. I think we need to hear the testimony from you one more time, sister. Impossible! What else? What else could this old woman have seen? Wasn't the shichishito bent in case 3 too? Had they get it straightened again? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I need to drink some water. Location of the weapon. I saw the murder at around 11 PM, and after asking that it be reported, I went out to the main gate. And there, I saw tracks. Tracks that indicated the snowmobile had been used. It takes 15 minutes to walk to Dusky Bridge, but less than 5 using one of those. Maybe they threw the weapon into Eagle River and came back while I was knocked out. Iris could have done that. She can drive a snowmobile after all. Witness, please, tell us everything you know right away next time. Well, I'm not in the best of shape. What with my back and my age, you know. Quite. There were indeed snowmobile tracks in front of the main gate. Here is a photograph. A snowmobile, eh? I see. Well, it certainly is an interesting theory. A snowmobile. I'm not sure how I feel about that. The tracks begin in front of Hazakura Temple and run all the way to Dusky Bridge. Tracks photo taken that night from main gate to Dusky Bridge. That solves your pesky little problem, yes? The Eagle River's current is quite swift, meaning that it doesn't freeze over in winter, making it the perfect place to dispose of the murder weapon. Did she really go to the river to dispose of the murder weapon? Mr. Edgeworth, your cross-examination, please. I saw the murder at around 11 PM. Hold it. Oh, I was worried about that actually. Adding that line, I was worried some people might think it was actual dialogue. Yeah, it looks like it only came back. I didn't see tracks heading out again. That's weird. You are sure about the time? Yes, I was worried about it after all. Why was that? Because I have a strong sense of responsibility, especially at this time of year. The acolyte was being doused in freezing water at the time. I couldn't very well take it easy in the bath all night now, could I? So at 11 I decided to leave Hazakura Temple. Her estimation of the time seems reliable, at least. Please continue, sister. And after asking that it be reported, I went out to the main gate. You asked Phoenix Wright to report the crime, correct? Right. The one who trampled me. It seems she is the type to hold a grudge. There isn't a phone in the main hall, so I sent him to the bridge. Phoenix Wright. He didn't even have his cell phone on him. He had forgotten it at home, apparently. What a naive boy, as always. Not only do I always carry my phone, but I always have my whip in hand, too. Anyway, I was really scared, and it was taking him a while to get back. So I thought I'd go out by the main gate for a spell. And there, I saw tracks that indicated the snowmobile had been used. Hey Shizzle, welcome. How are ya? Yeah, so Edgeworth set it up so he's up against Francisca in court. So they're having a little sibling battle. Yeah, not much has happened yet. We're cross-examining Bikini and we're finding all sorts of problems in what she's saying. She claims she saw the victim stabbed all the way up to the hilt with this weapon, but there's tons of problems with that because the blood's only on the tip and there's a ton of issues there. So we're wondering if a different sword was the actual murder weapon. And we haven't found it though. And so now she's claiming that it might have been thrown in the Eagle River using the snowmobile. Yeah, here's the snowmobile tracks photo that we just got. Yeah, and here's the murder photo. How the hell do you be a lawyer and manage to leave your phone at home? And he complains about not getting clients. Yeah! Yep. Now, have I pressed this one? Hold it. As I recall, there was a snowmobile outside the main gate when I visited. That's it. That's the only one we have. It'll run no matter how much snow falls. Now, you're certain the snowmobile was there at the main gate when you arrived? Yes, of course. It was parked in front of the gate. So, she had already gone, discarded the murder weapon, and returned by that time. I'm not sure if this is really relevant. What should I do? Press further. I need answers to every possible doubt. The snowmobile in question, was it still warm at that time? Huh? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean, eh? What do you mean, Miles Edgeworth? I'm playing to a slow crowd here. It goes without saying that using a snowmobile will heat its engine. If it was still warm, then it means it was recently used. Ah, I see. I never thought of that. That's right. I overlooked that too. Of course you did. And she doesn't admit that she overlooked it too. Then answer the question, please, witness. I don't often go around touching hot engines. However, now that you mention it, there wasn't any snow on it. Snow? Yes, for some reason, only the snowmobile wasn't covered in snow. There wasn't any snow on it. Curses! It seems highly likely that the killer did use the snowmobile then, eh? How long does it take to get to Dusky Bridge by snowmobile? Just gonna save. Are all judges required to grow massive beards? Apparently. We've only seen 2 judges and they both have huge beards. It takes 15 minutes to walk to Dusky Bridge, but less than 5 using one of those. Yeah. In that case, why didn't you use it yourself? You could have spared yourself some walking. Ah, there's a reason for that. Have you got a moment for me to explain? I think that's why the question was asked in the first place. It was about a month ago. I was driving my beloved little snowmobile, happy as can be. I'd fetched some water and was heading back when I went and crashed into a tree. The tree and my back both went crunch, just like that crunch. Oh, that crunching sound effect is... oh. Crunch. I haven't been able to find the courage to ride anything since then. Anyway, the killer must have used it. Maybe they threw the weapon into the Eagle River and came back while I was knocked out. Refresh our memory. How long were you knocked out for? Imagine the judge from AA2 with a beard. Wait, was there a different judge in AA2? I don't actually remember. Who was the different judge from AA2? Refresh our memory. How long were you knocked out for? Like I said, somewhere between 10 to 20 minutes. It's possible to get to the bridge and back in 10 minutes using the snowmobile. I have to concede that is more than enough time. Is that all you wish to concede, Miss Miles Edgeworth? Iris could have done that. She can drive a snowmobile after all. Oh, it's AA2. Oh, okay. That crunching sound effect is just the Godot drinking coffee sound. Oh, really? it sounds really gross used in this context, though. Oh. While it would have been possible, time-wise, one element remains out of place here. Oh? And what would this mystery element be? The killer's reasoning, Your Honor. Why did the killer do all of this? Why go to the Eagle River to dispose of the murder weapon when there are other methods? Too many unanswered questions. Your response, Miss Von Karma? Wah! Turning to me for help over the slightest thing. Why don't you think for yourself once in a while, Your Honor? What? She's as over the top as always. Anyway, whatever the reason, the fact remains that the defendant could have done this. The murder weapon was disposed of in the river. Another point to me, Miles Edgeworth. Another mystery to feed the fire. Was there any reason to go and throw away the murder weapon? Luckily, there is surely a problem with his testimony. Now, all I have to do is start poking holes in this flawed account. If only Francie would call the judge by his full name like she does for everyone else. Yeah, then we could know the judge's name. Alright, let's see what his wrong dialogue is. That statement contradicts the data provided by this piece of evidence. It does? How do you mean? Forgive me, Your Honor, but you just said it yourself that it does. Don't try to play mind games with me. Curses. It appears I have yet to adjust to being on this side of the courtroom. Let's see if there's any other ones. Alright. Alright, so let's see, what are we going to go for? After asking that it be reported, do we know what time it was reported? Oh yeah, that's right, Phoenix didn't actually get a phone call off, did he? Because he found the burning bridge and... yeah. When was the lightning? 10:45. So that had already happened. I don't think that matters though. They could have still thrown it in the river. Yeah, so yeah, I'm still bothered by the fact that there's only the one trail here. There's not a trail for it leaving, only coming back. So I think I'll try and present that. How am I going to present that though? Is it this one? Saying that they threw the weapon and then came back? Yeah. I admit this photograph proves something. It proves that the snowmobile was used on the night of the murder. You've finally accepted the inevitable, it seems, Miles Edgeworth. However, if what the witness says is true, then why is there only one set of tracks? What do you mean? Iris left Hazakura Temple, threw the weapon into the river, and then returned. If this was the case, there naturally should be two sets of tracks in the snow. Those from heading out to the bridge, and those from coming back. Ah, you're right. You are forgetting one thing, Miles Edgeworth. On the night of the murder, it was snowing. The tracks leading to the bridge were erased by the snowfall. This removes your precious contradiction, now doesn't it? I see. While she was at the river, the snow stopped, leaving just the return tracks in the snow. What do you have to say now, Miles Edgeworth? Save my game. Is there a flaw in her theory? This idea that the snowfall covered one set of tracks. I think that probably contradicts the weather data, right? Yeah, the snow stopped at 10:50. But Bikini says she saw the murder at 11, so the snow had already stopped. But, I don't know, maybe it's fine. It's flawless. The tracks leading to the bridge were covered by the snow. I do not have any evidence that can dispute this claim. In which case, the rest is simple. Sister, who was the only person who could have driven the snowmobile that night? Well, that would be... You can't hide it. I already know the answer. It could only be Iris. And the reason being? There is only one key for the snowmobile. A key that the defendant is responsible for. What? All judges are called Judge. They have to legally change their name to Judge. No worries, counting. Hey, Croker. There's another French character in AA5 you cannot wait to hear me voice. Oh dear. Oh dear. Order! Order! Now I don't feel like a clueless puck bunny. I understand everything. If the defendant did indeed use the snowmobile, which means Iris is most definitely the Your Honour, please, wait a moment. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? There is one gaping hole in Miss Von Karma's claim. I'm not sure if I care for your response, Mr. Edgeworth. Next time, bring up whatever issues you have earlier. Do you understand? Yeah. I should have noticed it sooner. The tracks to the river were covered by snow. What a nice theory. I'm gonna load now. Get that health back. The tracks to the river were covered by snow. What a nice theory. However, Miss Von Karma, that is impossible. Would you care to explain why there is a rude index finger currently pointed in my general direction? No need. The evidence will do all of the talking for me. On the night of the murder, the killer went to, and returned from, Dusky Bridge, in order to dispose of the murder weapon. The outgoing tracks were erased by snow. Also claims Miss Von Karma. Mr. Edgeworth, present your evidence to the contrary, eh? Evidence that the outgoing tracks were not covered by snow. It's probably my badge. Take that! Here is the evidence. What do you have to say, Your Honour? This reminds me of when I was a little hockey goon in training. When I was a child, I hoped for school to be cancelled due to heavy snowfall. Perhaps, Mr. Edgeworth, it would have been better for you had court been snowed in. That's all this evidence says to me, in any case. Nothing else? Nothing else. Oh dear. You seem to have missed, Miles Edgeworth. According to the witness's testimony, the incident occurred after 11 PM, in which case, there has to be evidence that can undeniably prove something doesn't match up. Poor Edgeworth, making him look bad in front of Francisca. Take that! Witness, please tell us again what time it was when you witnessed the crime. Like I said, it was around 11. Of course, this means that the weapon was thrown away after that time, correct? On that note, please take a look at this data. It is the weather report for Eagle Mountain on the night of the murder. The weather report? Snow started to fall at 7 PM, but it stopped at around 10:50. You cannot imagine how hard it must be to write all these flub lines for Edgy, while still maintaining his cool and calculated character. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. It must have been really hard to write this stuff. Since he's usually the one controlling the proceedings instead of, flailing around trying to upset everything. Therefore, when the sister witnessed the crime at 11 PM, the snow had already stopped falling. It is impossible for any tracks made after that time to have been covered up. Hang on. Is there snow on the body? No, there isn't. Okay. Ah! Order! Order! Very well then. It looks like Miss Von Karma's claim has been snowed in. Rah! It's too soon to be closing this trial due to snow. Miles Edgeworth, how pathetic of you to rely on the weather of all things. Answer me this then. When is a weather report ever correct? Ah, no, you've got it all wrong. This isn't a forecast, this is actual data. Yeah. Forecast, data, all weather reports have some inaccuracies. It may have still been snowing in the vicinity well past 11 PM. Oh, I already know what to do about that. Just gonna drink some water. Here we are. It's true. We cannot be totally sure, eh? What? How did she pull that off? It had stopped snowing at Hazakura Temple when the murder took place. You need to provide conclusive evidence of this. I've come this far. There's no turning back now. Very well. I, too, cannot allow any doubt to remain concerning this testimony. Save my video game. Ha! You can't back down, can you? Such a perfectionist, Miles Edgeworth. Very well then, Mr. Edgeworth. Where is your evidence that it had already stopped snowing when the victim was killed? I bet you. Stay hydrated, Ace Attorney. Yeah. Your response, Miss Von Karma? It looks like it is still snowing in your heart too. Shivering in the cold, you are closing your eyes to the truth. Poetry. And to think you just arrived after a long, tiring flight from Germany. That was poetry. Pure poetry. This evidence is only going to freeze my case solid. Respond, Miles Edgeworth. Even if it is snowing in my heart. At the time of the murder, it had already stopped snowing at Hazakura Temple. Their bickering is so weird, I like it. Very well then, Mr. Edgeworth. Gonna load my save. Take that! What is impure poetry? Oh. I don't know if you want to Google it. Yeah, so that'll be the photo because there's no snow on her body. Take that! Ultimately, it all comes down to one point. That being, whether or not it was snowing in that courtyard when the victim was stabbed. That's right, but proving that is incredibly easy. If we want to know whether it was snowing or not, this photo would tell us everything. Of course, I am referring to the photo of the crime scene. As you can see, everything is covered with snow, with just one exception. And that is the victim herself, Miss Elise Downham. Why is there no snow on top of her? The answer is simple. It had stopped snowing when she was killed. That's why. In other words, if the killer really did go to Eagle River to dispose of the murder weapon, then in this photograph, there should be two sets of tracks. Ah! Order! Just what are you... Just what are you suggesting, Miles Edgeworth? To be honest, I am not entirely sure myself, but this is simply what all of the facts point to. That night, someone used the snowmobile to leave Hazakura Temple. From the tracks left, it can be understood that they were heading for Dusky Bridge. At that time, it was still snowing. Of course it was, because those tracks were erased by the snow. Then, when this person returned to Hazakura Temple, the snow had stopped. Thus, the return tracks remained. Can I say something? This all sounds a bit fishy to me. What does, sister? There is only one key for the snowmobile. Furthermore, on the night in question, we know that the defendant had it. The key was found in her room after the murder, which can only mean that night, Iris used the snowmobile to go to the inner temple. But Iris said that she never went there. I should probably press on this point some more when I get the chance. The snowmobile can't cross the suspension bridge. So, she must have left it on the Hazakura side of the building and crossed on foot. That sounds right. But what's odd is, when I left Iris and returned to Hazakura Temple, I didn't see anything near Dusky Bridge. Francie gonna sue the weather girl after this. You must have just failed to see it, sister. Maybe, but when I made it back to Hazakura Temple, it was there, by the main gate. The snowmobile, I mean. I know what I saw. It was covered in snow, too. But that isn't possible. Order, order, order in the court. What does this all mean? Nyeh. So then, what was the snowmobile used for? Am I going to have to answer that? It wasn't taken by the defendant when she went to the inner temple. If it had been, then the witness couldn't possibly have seen it by the gate. Furthermore, it wasn't used by the killer to dispose of the murder weapon. If that was the case, there should be two sets of tracks in this photo. All we know is this. After it stopped snowing, someone used the snowmobile to return to Hazakura Temple. I never thought a simple snowmobile could cause so much trouble. I think we've learned all we can from this witness. Yes, I've nothing more to add. I've told you everything that I know. But then, that still leaves us with the same problem. If only there was someone, a witness who could testify to having seen the snowmobile. A witness, huh? Was there no one out walking, perhaps near Dusky Bridge on that night? I don't think that's likely. It was cold enough to freeze your ears off. Only an idiot would go out wandering in that. Unless they had something really important to do. That's a shame. Hold on. Something is coming to me. An idiot may well have gone wandering out on that subarctic night. Your Honor. Actually, there just might be one individual who may be of help to us. Really? You know of someone who might have seen the snowmobile on the night of the murder? I don't know for sure if he saw it or not, but there are two things about him that do come to mind. Which are? First, that he saw something incredible on the night of the murder. And the second being? This individual that I'm thinking of went wandering outside on that cold night. In other words, he is our kind of idiot. Mr. Edgeworth, who is this idiot you're talking about? The idiot you're talking about? It was Goro. Take that. Just what is the meaning of this, Mr. Edgeworth? Are you saying that this is the person who was near Dusky Bridge that night? I did think so. Ah! You're the wandering idiot, Miles Edgeworth. Cool off before you try to take me on again. Well, he actually got whipped. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. What was I thinking? This is the perfect chance to drag him onto the stand. Mr. Edgeworth, this individual. Dun, 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 dun. Not sure when I say it, if we can just fast forward through stuff. Dun, 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 dun. It was Phoenix Wright. You're not sure how you feel about idiots? Well, this particular idiot is the Butts, so... Not sure how I feel about Butts. Hey, we've got Franziska now in the profiles. Franziska von Karma, age 19. My mentor, Manfred von Karma's daughter. Born, raised in Germany. Prosecuted at 13. Oh, 13? Jeez, I said 14, but it's 13. Larry Butts! Take that! This guide must be a product of Jean-Luc de Laduc's Guide to Obnoxious French Painting. This is Larry Butts, a disciple of the victim, Elise Dernem. Her student? Interesting. And why was he wandering a boot outside on the night of the murder? A boot is really fun to say, actually. I've never really used this before. That's... I could tell them all about his designs for Iris, but it may cost us his credibility as a witness, before I even call him. He is, after all, an artist. He was, perhaps, searching for something in the snowy scenery that would move him, although I cannot guarantee that this is the reason. And so, this unfortunate, unreliable-looking man, what exactly was it that he saw? I intend to extract that from him, right here in this courtroom. Summon this youth as a witness immediately. Big the cat. Need a game where we play as Franny and her assistant is Wizard Gumshoe. Oh, that would be great. That would be great. I have no choice, do I? I believe he is in the gallery for this trial. It will not take long to summon him. Very well. Larry. You may have escaped me yesterday, but today I'm going to get everything out of you. The court will now adjourn for a 20-minute break. Miss von Karma, please see to preparing the next witness. Understood, Your Honor. Good. Well then, court is now in recess. To be continued. Do-do-do-do. Man, I really want to do the next part, but I'm not sure if I should. My throat's kind of sore. It's only 5 o'clock. I haven't really been going for very long. Save. Alright, I'm going to take a break and I'll decide... I'll think about what I want to do. If I want to end the stream or keep going or play Mega Man instead. I will have a think about it. And I'll feed the cat early. Why not? Let's be nice to the cat, hey? She's not in here at the moment, so I can't show you her, but let's be nice to the cat. Alright, give you some music. I could get water and stuff. I'll see how my throat feels after the break. Let's see. This one. Music. You're not sure how you feel about ending the stream? Alright, I should be back. Okay, I'm back, everyone. Alright, I think what I should actually do is just stop streaming for now. My throat's actually quite sore. I think I do need to just give it a break for the rest of tonight. Possibly tomorrow. If I wake up tomorrow morning feeling sore, I think I'll just not stream tomorrow and like give myself some time to heal. Yeah, I think I'm wearing down my my voice doing these streams. So I'll give it some time to rest up. Yeah, so thank you all for watching. Sorry we didn't get to finish the trial today, but we got through one segment. It was quite fun. Yeah, so we'll do the rest of the trial next time. So thank you all very much for watching. I'll just see if there's anyone streaming today that I can raid or host. Yeah, I've been pushing my voice a bit too much lately, so I gotta let it rest. I could play Mega Man 5, but I prefer to just let it heal up so that we can get back to doing more streaming. So if I do some Mega Man 5, I might just push it further. Okay, Dark Twinge is doing some Picross. Lovely and relaxing. Yeah, I'll play some Mega Man 5. I want to play it soon. Probably once we finish Ace Attorney. Or whenever we need a filler. Okay, I'm going to raid Dark Twinge. Thank you all very much for watching. And I shall see you all later. See yous.